shake, rattle, and troll.
It's time for the award-winning Shake, Rattle, and Troll.
Yeah, kiss the one that grab your favorite pose. Me and the boys gonna shake.
A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros.
We got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boy. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
Now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm Don McDowell. Welcome to Shake, Rattle, and Troll. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And boycott NFL today.
Give me a break. Not
What?
happening.
What? Why?
Jeez.
You're going to listen to Lady Gaga?
Oh, I'm not going to listen to Lady Gaga, but I'm going to watch the football game.
Why?
Because I want to see the
That's-
Patriots win.
That's because you don't fish.
I could be fishing and listening to the game.
Okay. What? No, negative ghostwriter. That is my co-host, John J. Colazar, the president of the ADA, known as Special K.
Thank you, sir.
President of the Arizona Super Big Game Raffle.
Yes.
What else? Third generation gypsy.
Soon to be the AZSFWC if the voting goes the way I want it to. I'm
That's
politicking hard. for that.
we need to talk about that. That gives me honor and pleasure again to utter the words, Mr. President. So we have President Unmock, President Special K, and President Trump. And joining us today, I'm excited about this.
President Tater.
Wait a minute.
This is a guy. If you fish, you need to know this guy.
I agree with that one.
He is.
By the way, he's not a bad hunter either.
He's an excellent hunter. The only problem I've had hunting with him is when you're not looking, he'll grease your sneakers with bacon grease because he always seems to find a bear.
Oh, Tater.
Oh, absolutely.
Jerry Tate.
Good morning, Don.
Jerry is one of the, first of all, one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet.
Thank
And
you.
secondly, he's one of the most accomplished bass fishermen. Spent how many days on Lake Pleasant? You have any idea since 1961?
I have no idea, Don. It's just remarkable the number of days that I have spent there, and my family has been with me all the way on this. So,
Cool.
I'll tell you, you know what? This is a real interesting fact. I was doing some readings about mental health, and one of the things that they found is that people who spend amounts of time in nature, unobstructed nature, not roaring engines, not doing anything, just being in nature, have the capacity to overcome stress remarkably quicker than anybody who sits in an urban environment. The health benefits are evident just sitting here looking at Mr. Tate. He looks as young as us. And I think he's...
We don't look young. I appreciate the thought.
Hey,
thank you, John.
Wow.
well, I happen to know Tater's just a tad older than each of us.
Well, they call the club that we belong in, the Graybeard Club.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he founded it.
Yeah, and I noticed, number one, his hair's still blonde. Number two, he doesn't have any grays. There's something wrong here.
I've never
Are you
seen-
Dorian Gray?
No.
I have never seen this man, no matter what time of the day it is.
Without looking perfectly coiffed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Clean shaven all the time. Smells like WD-40. Won't use cologne, but he dabs a little WD-40 behind his ears. Yeah.
I would say I would accept Hoppy's number 9.
Oh, yeah.
That'll work.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to do some stuff with Jerry. Jerry's been a huge part of Shake, Rattle, and Troll over the past years. He's agreed to come back and visit with us. And
You're going to teach me how to fish today.
well, one of the things that Jerry has that, I've tried to borrow it. I've tried to beg it. I've tried to buy it. He's got like 1,400 pictures of Lake Pleasant before the dam.
Are you kidding? Really?
Yep.
What did it look like back then?
It was, let's take Bartlett, just for instance, up in the river area. Similar to that.
Really?
With small body of water, yes, when on the old dam. Yeah.
Now, how much lower is the old dam than the new dam now?
100 feet.
That's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah, huge.
And it fluctuates a lot.
Absolutely. And
100 vertical feet annually. Yes, sir.
And that makes a big difference in how the people fish
Should.
it and,
Oh, sure.
and look at it. I mean, once you go out there and we go through some of the stuff that I taught in the past, and you put all of this to play, you know, your depth, speed, size, action, and color.
Say that slowly again.
Depth, speed, size, action, and color.
Size matters.
Yes, it does.
And that's not a Bernie Sanders thing.
But again, whenever you just over the years, you put a lot of stuff together, and it doesn't matter where you get it from, a lot of the newscast or where, but once you learn how to locate the fish in any body of water, I don't care whether it's the ocean or rivers or wherever you go, it becomes a great tool for you to locate fish and be really good at it.
A couple of things we're going to do today. Jerry's going to talk more about that, but we're going to tell you about some of the stuff that's going on over on the San Diego coast. We'll be talking to Captain Bill, our master rod builder, James Guggenauer, and to get his thoughts on what's happening over on the Mother Lake. And as we go through it, we're going to tell you about roll call. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of roll call today. We've lost one of our own, TJ Stallings from Wetumpka, Alabama, Ron Stallings' brother. And if you fish bass days, the last 4 or 5 years, you will have met Ron Stallings from Daiichi Hooks. And anyway, we'll talk about that. And President Trump, unfortunately, has lost his first soldier in theater. We'll talk about that. We've got another law enforcement officer down. But John, expand a little bit on your thoughts on the out of doors. You know, we've said for years and years and years. Jerry and I talk about it. For the last 16 years, that bass fishing is like going to therapy.
Well, it is.
I either fish, excuse me, or hunt, or I'll be down paying group rates because I'm not an individual. I'm a whole group of people, and depending on what day it is, I'm not sure who I am.
They've done some studies, and it came out of actually the University of Michigan back in the 1980s, and it's been progressed ever since that time. But they found that the brain is capable of doing some really remarkable things, but what it needs more than anything else, when we get, basically, for a lack of a better term, your panties in a wad, you have to take a look at what's going on around you. And if you sit and, some people used to think that if you could sit and watch TV, you would relax and recharge your battery.
Boy, not anymore.
No, well, it's a fallacy. It never did.
Yeah, that'll get your man Hammett swinging.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go back to the old days, what happened was there was too much clutter. There's too much. They did a study. Oh, this goes way back.
Now, are you talking about the white noise on the television?
No.
Okay.
They figured out that if they took a caveman and brought him back to present time, from when the cavemen were the only existing people on this planet, and they put him in a downtown environment, he would go insane in less than 30 minutes because of the influx of stimulus. And now what you see is that we as humans have become very accustomed to all of this stimuli, but that when things go wrong and we start getting stressed out, cortisol is released into our body. Cortisol will kill you. Now, it saves you in the fight or flight syndrome. If you're under attack, cortisol kicks in, and you're able to move, shoot, or get the hell out.
Yeah.
But because it's a constant stimuli in our environment now, it's a poison. That's why we're seeing more cancers, why we're seeing more chronic heart disease.
Wow.
All of those things are part and parcel of it. So if you take a person, though, and you remove them from the stress environment and you put them in the nature setting, water is good, lakes are good, oceans are good, and mountains are good. When you do that, your recovery rate is remarkable, and you're able to go into tasks that you couldn't do under the stress environment. If you give somebody 8 hours in a setting like that, fishing, hunting, quiet, or just sitting in nature.
No 250 horse Mercuries?
You can get there with them, Don, but you're not going to troll with them. But when you do that, your ability to become a better person starts all over again. You're able to function, you're able to think, you're able to make equations that you need to do and find solutions that you normally don't, or decisions that you make poorly when you're under stress.
You have to. That's why, Jerry and I have talked a lot about being one with nature, one with the fish, getting in the zone.
Absolutely. Same thing in hunting.
Yeah.
Same thing in hunting. So that is why we need to send all Sierra Club members out into nature. They need to get out there.
Bernie Sanders in the woods.
Amen.
All righty then. That said, we're going to stand down. Thanks so much. Our sponsors. I am Don McDowell with
John Colazar.
JT, Jerry Tate.
Yep, the Bass Professional. Hey, we'll be right back. Yeah, man. Glory days. All righty. Hey, we've got a strange caller on the line. What can we do for you, caller?
Well,
whoa, is that Mark from Out of the Dark?
That'd be me.
Yeah, dude. What's happening, brother Mark?
Nothing much. I mean, I about swerved off the road. You got Jerry Tate and Don McDowell on a radio show, something I'm a little familiar with, like having my two dads sitting around the campfire.
Oh, dude, yeah.
So I want, you guys are talking about Jerry Tate. Here's something for you guys, listeners out there. Jerry, you can jump in at any time. It was a few years ago. Lake Pleasant was down, and Jerry, I was out there basically every other day. Jerry was working for the water department, and he told me kind of what to look for with these fish hold-on. I got to thinking, and I strapped my mountain bike to my bass cat, and I drove to the back of Humbug and rolled around out there for about half a day.
I remember this.
Handheld GPS, and I entered every pop spot I found in the back of Humbug that was what Jerry described to me. All that did over the next year and a half was give me 3 wins, 2 boats, and a whole bunch of top 10.
Paycheck.
And yep. And so for you people who think that the big fish there aren't in Pleasant, in October I fished with Shane Edgar, and we went back to back, and we doubled we had 21 pounds for a win and 19 pounds for a win, and everyone was freaking out, thinking, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? It was the exact same thing that Tater taught me to do back in the day. Pleasant hasn't changed. There's still big fish in Pleasant, and they're still catching. You just need to think a little bit. It's super easy. And to this day, there is not a more knowledgeable bass biologist out there. And I'm talking Murray, Aaron. I fished all of them than Jerry Tate, period.
Thank you.
There you go. I mean, you got it from an expert right there.
Well,
yeah. I mean, the guy knows. The guy knows bass. The guy knows where bass live. He knows how they behave, and he hit the nail on the head. Size, depth, color, and speed.
Well,
I'll go a step further.
You got to back me up on this. You won't go hunting with Tater because he greases your sneakers with bacon grease, correct?
Well, I'm pretty sure I can still outrun him.
I don't know. I don't know. But maybe on a downhill.
Yeah, the size thing, all you got to do is look at the shad. I'll give you the color, white. There you go. You're halfway there.
Well, that's good stuff. Are you spending any time on the water out there right now?
Actually, yes, I am. I'm out there probably 1 to 2 days a week. My boat sponsor, Bass Cat, has stepped up in the West. They hired Dave Davis as the regional sales rep. They're sponsoring the U.S. Open. So me being, and I can say this proudly now, I am the longest tenured Bass Cat driver in the West, period.
Okay.
By a lot.
No, I'm glad you said that. I've got a question for you. We've got a guy, president of the Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society, that's looking to buy a 2007 Bass Cat Pantera that has 50 hours on it. I've seen the pictures. The boat looks like it just rolled out of the factory with a 200 Mercury on it. What's it worth?
What year is it?
2007, 50 hours. I mean, this thing is like perfect.
What electronics package is on it?
That I can't tell you. I can't tell by looking at the photographs.
07, you're probably in that 22 range, I'd say.
Perfect.
By today's standards, which I don't agree with at all, I think you're a better fisherman out of a 19-foot boat with a 200, but everyone's running these 21-foot jobbies with these giant 250s on it.
Yeah,
and quite honestly, they're spending too much time driving their boat and not enough time fishing, and they're scared to go where the fish live, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, you know, we heard it from California when they brought the 21-footers out. The Coast Guard wouldn't let them launch them on Diamond Valley Lake because the naval aviators tried to keep landing on the deck. So.
Yeah. I mean, if you give me that boat at Havasu, you better have something following me that's going to tow me out. So.
Okay, that's good.
You know, but
well,
I've actually owned that boat. I had 3 of those Pantera 2s with 200s, and it was my favorite boat. I mean, it's a 70-plus mile-an-hour boat. It fishes because of the way the recessed foot pedal is set up. It fishes like a 20-footer, but you can still trailer it and you can still get it places. So, you know, after he purchases it, if he needs to go out to the lake and get it set up and tuned, by all means, have him call me. I'm down.
Yeah, roger that. When are you going to come down and join us in the studio?
The next Sunday I get a chance. Hopefully next Sunday.
Cool. Let me know.
Yeah, but yeah, you guys, if Jerry starts talking fishing, listeners, get out a pen and paper. Listen to every word he says.
Well, we're gonna try to extract it out of him. So.
Yeah. So, but I enjoy the show and I miss you guys tons.
Well, come on down.
Thanks,
All right,
Mark.
sir. You're welcome.
All right, you have a better day. Mark Townsend, ladies and gentlemen, a voice from out of the past. Mark's a great fisherman, and John, exactly what you're talking to. I fished enough with Mark that, you know, we've got the scatter, and it takes a couple hours on the water to get defused. Absolutely, you know, what you're saying, what he's saying, and kudos to Jerry. So, anyway, before we get into some other stuff, I want to talk a little bit about the ADA that is right around the corner. Tickets, contact information.
azdeer.org, and it's on there. And you can basically go in and buy the tickets for the banquet, February the 25th, coming up 3 weeks from today, or yesterday.
Wow, okay, very cool. Jerry, we've got a couple of minutes here. I want to get started on the depth. How much time and research did you put into determining this particular presentation that you've done forever? I don't know how many I've been to, but a whole bunch of them.
Don, I did a lot of research with Berkeley and many other books that they put out. And there's a gentleman in Florida that had a great book, and I can't remember his name right now, but he had a lot of the same stuff in there and how he positioned for large fish. And guys, I'm just going to say, with life situations that we had, I haven't been on the water more than once every 2 weeks in the last 3-4 months. But I was out last week, and we got 1 6-pounder, 2 4s, and a couple of 3s, largemouth bass. And it was a small area and very, very, just what I say. I mean, it just was, these areas is produced year after year after year, and it's there. And I did put a lot of time into everything that you see I do. All the seminars that I've done for years, we did them on the radio and all of that. So it's just hours on the water and looking at everything and following fish. Following a fish from the dam clear up to pipeline, schools of large fish as they migrate chasing the shad from the dam up. And now that the dam is larger, it's the things have changed from that moment. So it's a little bit different. They don't have to travel quite as far.
Well, Mark, has some good things to say. You know, the big fish in Lake Pleasant are there. That's correct. Lake has had an inordinate amount of boating pressure, not only from bass tournaments, but from your standard runabouts, jet skis, the hot rod, high performance vessels, and then you throw in
blow boats and Tupperware.
Navy. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, it is, and the traffic is really intense some weekends, and it will affect the fishing.
Well, John, Jerry, and I were sitting in a cove. We were out fun fishing, and we were messing around, experimenting with some stuff, and there was a tournament going off. We weren't fishing in the tournament, and we were sitting in Honeymoon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, remember that? And we were grafting fish, and we're just sitting there still and looking at the graph and seeing what's going on. As the first flight went blasting by, the fish, they were like in 15 to 18 feet of water. They just started pulling out. Pretty soon they were in 25, 28, 30. And the boats were like, woof, 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 woof. So those fish are like the deer and the elk that we hunt.
Oh, yeah.
They know they're coming.
And Jerry, you've seen it. I know that. Prior to 1994, we didn't have OHVs. We didn't have quads.
Yes.
And if you look at a good example, you're familiar with the Apache Sitgreaves. Mm-hmm. They have over 20,000 more miles of trails now.
That I didn't realize it was that many.
You could
20,000.
No, I'm sorry, 2,000.
2,000. Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa. Yeah, 2,000 more miles of trails. You can go from Arizona to Washington, D.C. in the Apache Sitgreaves. They've tracked that already. You can't find anywhere other than in a small wilderness area. You can't find an area where you can go more than 1 mile without hitting a road. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
There's pressure. Yeah, and those animals are learning to hide in canyons and some of the nastiest, thickest crap under the sun. That's where they bed down.
Yep.
I mean, when I'm looking for antler sheds this spring, I'm not going to be looking in the flats. I'm looking in all those nasty areas where I know they're bedded down and hunkered down. That's why I've found many sheds in small canyons and draws.
And some of the roads that they've been on, they have really rutted them up. The ruts are in the neighborhood of a foot deep.
Yeah, not good.
All right, that said, hey, we're going to stand down, take a break. When we come back, we're going to the left coast. Yep, that's right, downtown San Diego. See if we can get Captain laid back out of bed.
Ooh.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Don McDowell.
Jerry Tate.
Special K.
We'll be right back.
Well, the morning's kind of damp. I'm not worried about cutting the grass. Left my truck at the boat ramp and my boat is full of gas. My old boss thinks I'm sick today. He won't have me to harass. 'Cause I'm out here on the river and he can kiss my big old bass. Kiss my bass.
All righty, that's one thing. That's not the left coast. That's up on the hill.
Yeah.
Downtown Payson.
Beautiful
James,
downtown
Brother James,
Payson.
the master rod builder from Rim Country Custom Rods. What's happening?
Hey, good morning, Don. What a great show this morning. Listening, I'm like Mark Townsend. I'm listening to every word that Jerry's telling us here.
Yeah, he's going to let some cats out of the sack, so to speak. Hey, listen, I tried to call in on your radio show Thursday.
Can't get through.
To congratulate you on your 1-year anniversary.
Hey, how about that? Well, thank you. Thank you.
I've tried it in the past, too, and it's very difficult to get through. Do you guys just have a single line coming
No,
in?
they've got caller ID.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, up here in the mountains, we just have one line that goes in.
Life is good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
You know
it's
why
pretty
Mr.
fast.
Guggenhauer's calm and collected all the time now.
Yeah.
On that study I talked about.
Yeah, he lives in a
sits
green belt.
Yeah, he lives in that green belt area. He sits up there on his porch, and in 10 minutes, he's unwired what takes me 6 weeks to get done now.
Nice.
You know, that's part of the reason we moved up here.
I know. Smart move.
I'm doing something wrong here.
I won't be for long.
Yeah. All righty, let's get to it. What's happening over on Mama Roosevelt?
Well, the first thing we want to talk about is the water. Lake is at 51% full. Still enormous amounts of water coming in there. I talked to some people at Salt River Project. They were up on the rim, I guess, taking samples of different depths of snow, and they are calculating that if just with the snow that's on the ground right now, the Roosevelt's probably going to fill to about the 70% level.
Nice.
Serious.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, my, yeah.
Been a long time since it's been there.
Right. There's still over 6 inches of snow in Pine, and further you get up on the rim, you know, there's still over 2 feet up there. So lots of water going to be coming down to that watershed as spring goes on.
Sweet.
That's
even here in Basin, water's still running. I mean, every little stream and creek that we have here is, I won't say that they're full anymore, but they're definitely still running hard.
James. How wide's the Tonto Creek running?
Tonto Creek is running at about 550 cubic feet per second. And just to give your listeners a perspective, people know where Indian Point Ramp is. That's the closest ramp to Pumpkin Center.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 2 feet underwater right now.
Wow. Excellent.
So that's how far it's come up. That whole flat that you see there by Orange Peel and Horse Pasture, that's all underwater.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Boy, that's going to be a good spawn this year, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, the nutrient is coming in.
Yeah.
That'll create that. Go ahead, James.
Sorry.
Back to you, James.
Oh, okay. I was going to, as I'm taking notes here as Jerry's talking, after the show, everybody needs to go to Clifford Perch Outdoors and look at his Facebook page. Clifford and Buddy Randall went down to Apache Lake this week, and in the afternoon, they didn't even get on the water until noon. But between noon and about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they caught their best 5 fish, 35 pounds.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Go look at the pictures. And just like Jerry's telling everybody, a reaction bait, and like Mark Townsend said, a white reaction bait. And, they were throwing back 5-pounders because they just didn't help them.
I talked to Ron Kirsten earlier in the week. Last week he fished Apache. Went to the scales with 21 pounds, third place.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, he was all excited thinking, well, hell, we got this 21 pounds. That's a good bag of fish, but third place. And, like you're talking about, right at the end of the tournament, they got on a spot that they were calling 3 and 4 pound fish. So
Right, yeah.
Wow.
So it's good. I mean, not only are the fish, they've got eggs in them, but they're just, like Jerry said, heavily feeding on shad right now. And if you can catch them in the late afternoon when there's a calm day and the sun's kind of out, boy, it can be a lot of fun out there.
Yeah. Okay, is there any magic bait if you want to share with us, or you're going to keep it to yourself like you normally do? I'm just saying.
Any kind of, we'll call it generically, like an umbrella rig, anything like that with some white kind of fluke-looking baits on it or tail baits is just, they're just killer right now. You can catch 2 at a time on that kind of a rig.
Nice. Yeah, it's getting to be, Jerry and I were talking about that Friday night a little bit, getting to be fluke time. And in the, for the listeners, the Bassmaster Magazine page 52 has that Nico rig that you and I were talking about last week. That article's worth reading. We'll get something posted. I'll get something written up and sent up to Doug to get it on the website. But, Mark and I, and there's some other guys out there that their go-to bait's a soft plastic fluke. Mm-hmm. And Jerry and I were talking about this Nico rig, and he goes, well, we've been whacking flukes forever, but you know what? We never told anybody. Never.
And we didn't use lead. We used steel nails, cut them off, and put them in there.
Yeah, I'm not telling about the nail weights. Don't do that. Don't do that. But, this time of year, that is a killer lure. Yep,
absolutely agree. So. Anything that's a shad-looking bait right now is that's where they're going.
And I know some guys that keep Sharpies, black, green, brown, and purple, and a small red one. And I'm not a really big Whoopi Goldberg fan, but the color purple, I'm going to leave it go at that. Purple and white.
That's a good one.
Okay, maybe with a dash of chartreuse on the tail and maybe a little red dot on the. No. I'm done. Okay, back to you, James.
That just about covers it.
Yeah, that'll cover the flyby.
Hey, we also wanted to get for your listeners that hunt up in Rim Country, specifically units 22 and 23. the department right now is seeking hunter experience input. And we had Amber Munich from the Game and Fish Department on a couple weeks ago. And, now's the time to make inputs to the Game and Fish Department about your hunting experience. Now, these regulations are going to affect the 2018 and 19 and the 19 and 20 hunt seasons. But here's the email address. It's azhuntguidelines@azgfd.gov. And if your listeners didn't get that, you can call Don or call me after the show, and we'll get you that address. But one of the things they say is hunters never give input to these requests when they have them, and then they complain that either there's too many hunters in an area or they can't get a permit. But here's your opportunity to go give the Game and Fish Department your input, so don't miss out on it. It's open till February 15th. That's the last day to give input.
Oh, okay.
James, you know what? I'm going to beg to differ a little bit with Amber, because each year when they put out the hunt recommendations for elk and deer tags, we've been complaining about the way that they've handled Unit 22 for the last 10 years. They wanted to have a bull-to-cow ratio of 30 to 35 bulls per 100 cows, and they put in somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 tags each year. I know they had 700 tags just over the week and a half to 2 week Thanksgiving period, where they throw 375 or 400 hunters out there. And what's happening is they're counting spikes in that bull-to-cow ratio, and I don't think that should be part of the equation, and they need to cut back on some of those. And I hope some of the guys up there start talking about it, because when you've got 385 of your closest friends and they're all carrying 30-06 and above, it makes for a lot of wildlife going down, and there's just too many tags that they've been issuing up in there. I can remember the days when I would see a lot of good bulls up in 22, particularly north of town. You don't see that many anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right, J.K. And, during the show, we had lots of people call in and express those exact concerns. So now this is just between us, just okay. Between you and I. And talking to Amber off the air, I think that Unit 22 is one of the areas that the Game and Fish is going to focus on for some changes in the future.
Amen. But, I hope they do. We've been screaming about it long enough.
Yeah, well, I'm sure our marketing strategist will clip this out, email it to Amber. You want to give her home phone number or cell phone out while you're at it?
Yeah, I've got it right here. 1-800. Hell no. I'm not going to do it. I need to talk to Amber on a regular basis. I'm not about to do that.
You do not want Amber coming for you.
No. No, you do not.
All right, what else you got real quick, James?
Real quick, if you're into ice fishing,
nope.
You got to go hit Willow Springs this week.
Nope, next subject.
Yes, tip-up time.
Good ice fishing with tip-ups on Willow Springs.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
I was.
Yep. All right, hey, God love you. Good job, man. We'll talk to you next week. James Guggenauer, the master rod builder up at Rim Country Custom Rods. Check them out. We'll be right back.
Don't go away. More of Shake, Rattle, and Troll is coming up.
The first stop on any fishing trip is Phoenix Fishing Supply, 16th Street, just south of Camelback Road. At Phoenix Fishing Supply, they are the saltwater experts and all things fishing since 1987. Name it, they've got it. Gowdy Ted and his team of experts can service all your rods, reels, and equipment. To ensure you have the equipment to fight the fight, spool up with new line, check your brakes, clutch, and drag system. While you're there, check out the best of rods, reels, lures, and terminal tackle for whatever you're fishing for. Phoenix Fishing Supply, 4810 North 16th Street. Don't lose the fight. You know, tuna fishing doesn't have to be time-consuming or expensive. Fish the Malahini, the three-quarter-day premier sport boat out of H&M Landing, San Diego. Yep, over on the left coast. Malahini has a long and proud tradition of dependable service, and with the goal of your success on the water. Captains Bill Wilkerson, Mike Schmidt, and Mike Zayak will utilize their extensive skills and the latest technology to put you on fish. Tuna season is in full swing right now. Yeah, right now. Spend a day on the water on the premier three-quarter-day sport fishing boat on the left coast, Malahini Sport Fishing. Don't miss the boat or the fish. Book Malahini now at hmlanding.com or call them at 619-222-1144. Hey, I'm Don McDowell, and I fish Malahini.
H&M Landing. the oldest and finest sports fishing landing on the West Coast since 1935. H&M's premier sports fishing fleet has over 30 sport fishing boats to choose from for 1/2, 3/4 day, or extended long-range trips, everything to make your deep-sea adventure a trip of a lifetime. Rent or bring your own gear. Book now at hmlanding.com or call them at 619-222-1144. H&M Landing, San Diego, California, where the weather and fishing are always great. H&M Landing.
This segment of Shake, Rattle, and Troll is brought to you by Mr. Crappie's Slab Daddy Supper Rigs. We all live for the thump.
Are you tired of untangling your fishing line when you should be fishing? Have you been injured by loose treble or single hooks? If you answered yes, then you need to get the Fish Clipper. The Fish Clipper is the first safety clip product that secures your fishing tackle to your fishing rod. The Fish Clipper is removable, durable, and field tested for approval. Protect your children, yourself, and pets, and keep your fishing rods tangle free. See our video at fishclipper.com, and I'll promise you'll get hooked on the Fish Clipper.
Available at Fisherman's Choice, Liar's Corner, and the Hookup.
Happy fishing, y'all.
Earn the skills and knowledge to overcome life's greatest challenges, no holds barred. Dark Horse Unlimited, for the outdoor enthusiast. Effective, real-world training that is field-tested and combat-proven. Learn urban and wilderness survival, tactical firearms, 3D combatives hand-to-hand training, home invasion defense, preparedness planning, and much more. Let the professionals at Dark Horse Unlimited get you ready for whatever life throws your way. Because a Dark Horse wins, no matter the odds. Be a Dark Horse. Be unlimited. For more information, visit darkhorseunlimited.com.
Charlie Daniels, Carolina. The devil went down to Georgia. Nothing could be finer. Midnight Rider.
All righty, we're back. Good stuff from James Guggenauer. You know, he's right on the button on Roosevelt. Mark's right on the button on Lake Pleasant. So let's go back to the professor here and see what he has to say on depth.
Well, Don, as you know, and I know, and Mark knows, and just about everybody around that fishes know, if you're fishing in 3 foot of water and the fish is at 10 foot of water, you're not going to get many fish. And when it goes with some of these fish go up to 80 to 100 feet of water, you have to know the structure that they're holding on. And the depth is one of the main keys. And then you have to choose the tool to work with that depth. So, you know, all of the baits that we run, whether it's a crankbait, there's so many different ways to present a bait. You can make some small changes, like a bigger hook on the back, which changes the action on a crankbait. There's just so many of them that you can't, it's hard to learn how to use all of these tools that you and I have in our box. And Mark knows that as well as I do, because he uses a lot of the same baits that I've been talking about.
I'm not going to talk about that white ice that he likes to use.
Oh, you're not? Huh? Okay. Well, you know, actually just plain white sometimes works better than the white ice, but the white ice is my favorite. I'm going to say that.
He likes the bling.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
And instead of putting weight on them, here lately, I've been going to a 5/0 hook. And when you get into
heavy wire or light wire?
Heavy wire.
Thank you.
I'm using it as a weight.
Daiichi-san.
You got it. And the way the fish have been acting lately, so many people doesn't realize that when the water, 1 degree change in the water changes the entire depth of the fish, what he's doing. And we were looking at 50-degree water. And about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the wind died down. And the wind creates another scenario, visibility. Cuts down on visibility to the fish because it's wave contour over the top. But we noticed something on the depth finder. And I looked at the temperature. I said, we had a 1 degree change. Things that's going to happen. It's going to happen right now. And it was that quick when that changed. And I looked on the graph, and we were shallow. We were 16 feet or less, okay? And I seen a fish. So I dropped down a spoon. I didn't use, there is all kinds of tools to use, but the spoon gets there quick and you can stay in total control of that spoon. Presto, a real nice largemouth bass. And I told my friend, I said, look at what's on the bottom, right on the bottom, not the ones that's up about 2 foot, because those are whites and stripies. The largemouth is on the bottom, right underneath them. And it worked. You could pull that spoon up about 2 foot and let it just barely fall. You get a white or stripy. And we were catching, 24-inch stripies, 2-pound white bass. And the smallest bass that we got, largemouth bass, was in the neighborhood of 1.5 pounds all the way up to 6 pounds.
Wow.
So, and we had some real good stringers. Our stringer was in the 20-pound class for the 5 fish.
Wow.
Biggest 5. So it's out there, and so many people were on the lake. They were fishing 100 feet of water, and they were seeing the big stripies. They were seeing the carp. They were seeing the catfish in the zone, and they were concentrating on like they would be for bass. I'm not saying that there was not bass that deep. There is. But those fish want a horizontal presentation with a cannonball, and that's how you have to get them. You can't do that in a tournament, but once you catch one, he's dead by the time he gets to the top of the water. So I do not fish for those fish. Those fish will come up and spawn, and there are reproducing fish that are in the body of the water. They're going to produce many fry. When they come up, and they do it gradually, they'll go to the shallows, they spawn, and then they go back down. And they pretty much live that deep.
Let's talk about a guy that's not real familiar with his electronics or doesn't have any. What's your methodology, let's say, without electronics?
Without electronics, I would not ever fish deeper than 40 feet. I would just go and start from the surface all the way down to that depth, or reverse. Start at the depth and come up.
How do you know that you're at 40 feet?
How do you know? Contours. And again, like I said, I have a lot of photos, but it doesn't matter whether I'm on Roosevelt or something else. You can just have an old flasher. Almost all the boats do have a lot of flashers, the old, and that'll give you the depth.
That's not a raincoat at the bus stop.
I was going to say,
Yeah. But yeah, that's, and you can judge if you got a wash. A gentleman called me from Tucson, and he says, I'm going to fish the tournament at Saguaro. And this was a week and a half ago. And I told him, I says, go up and find the channel where it's coming in to the main part of the body of the lake. I said, it's just a channel. It's got to be 30 feet deep. And I says, you're going to have rain. So there's some that's going to run into there. He says, there's nothing but rocks. There's no mud going to come in there. And I says, you're wrong. There will be mud come in off of those rocks. So he went up and he looked at one particular one, which is up in the no-wake zone that I had instructed him with. And he looked at it and says, it was like chocolate milk. I says, was it staying on top of the water or was it going down? He said, it was staying on top of the water. What did I tell you? Why didn't you go in there and fish? Because that tells me that the water coming in is warmer than the water below. And it's clear down there, and those fish will hang down there because that's where the shad are going to move because the nutrients coming in and all of that soil that's coming in, it's suspended in the water. The bait fish will be there.
That's good. I want to key in on one thing JK was talking about. How many times have we been out there, even with Mark Townsend, and you can feel the barometric change?
Oh, many times. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can feel it when we're hunting. Same thing.
Yeah.
And things
Only
change.
if you're in the zone and de-stressed. So.
Right.
You pay attention to your surroundings a whole lot more when you're de-stressed. Yep.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, we're going to get into roll call right now. I think, it's been a pretty tragic week relative to soldiers and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, the first one I want to talk to you about, while we were on the air last week, this Chief Petty Officer William Ryan Gwynns was killed January 29th, and he was serving during U.S. Central Command operations. The Chief Petty Officer was supporting U.S. Central Command's operations. He was 36 years old, of Peoria, Illinois. He was assigned to the Special Warfare Unit based on East Coast. I believe that's out of Norfolk, Virginia. Anyway, he died of wounds sustained in a raid against Al-Qaeda. And we had another law enforcement officer down.
Hang on a second, Don. I'll get that for you. Officer down was police officer Micah Louvier out of the Westwago Police Department in Louisiana. He was shot and killed while off duty when he stopped to assist what he believed to be an accident. He was driving home, still in uniform at the end of his shift. He came to attend an injured woman in one of the vehicles. A male subject approached from behind him, shot him in the head, killing him. Man then fatally shot the female before fleeing the scene. Subject who shot Officer Louvier was later committed suicide following a standoff in the Crescent City Connection Bridge. Officer Louvier was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, and he had served at the Westwago Police Department for 18 months. He's survived by his wife, 4-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old son.
And very sadly, one of our own, our world's getting a little bit smaller. We've had a number of our own go down this year. T.J. Stallings from TTI Blakemore, part of that family. You'll know that name through his brother Ron Stallings, Daiichi Hooks, Roadrunner, and so on and so forth. But TJ was a very, very well-known, passionate angler, wonderful outdoor rider, a nice guy, albeit he and I had this jackass thing going. I mean, from one jackass to another. I mean, he gets it. Yeah, and I get it. As TJ always would point out, it's one of the reasons he liked coming out to Arizona at Lake Pleasant. A lot of jackasses out there, let's just say. But he was a wonderful guy, and like I said, he's going to be sorely missed. He passed away due to complications with cancer and some of his treatments. And TJ was all about fishing. I've never seen a guy more passionate about crappie fishing. I mean, they got to stop the truck and fish in a mud puddle. Seriously. All about conservation, putting a little something back. He loved his country, loved his family, and loved his work. So that's like losing another brother from another mother. So that said, our heartfelt sympathies, condolences out to the Stalling family, that of the Chief Petty Officer and the fallen law enforcement officer. I'm Don McDowell. We'll be back.
It's time for the award-winning Shake, Rattle, and Troll. A show for the serious fishermen as well as the novice looking for tips from the pros.
We got the power, we got the speed. We're running wide open on a midsummer breeze. Freshwater, saltwater, watch out, boys. Bass Daddy Don's gonna make some noise. It's me and the boys gonna shake, rattle, and
now, here's your host, saltwater fisherman, the man that fears no fish, Bass Daddy and Tournament Pro, Don McDowell.
All right, and we're back. Welcome to the second hour of Shake, Rattle, and Troll. Thanks for tuning in and listening today. We've got the president of the ADA, Special K, with us with some really good information on therapy.
Actually, it's not a real difficult thing to do. We have to consider that sportsmen, hunters, and fishermen are probably some of the smartest people on the planet because inherently we go back to our roots. And genetically, sorry guys, we are still all cavemen. It's in there. Maybe refined, maybe advanced, but still, in order for us to hit a calm situation and to have our bodies and our minds in tune, you can't do it in a city.
And we have Professor Jerry Tate with us. He agrees with all of that.
Absolutely. It's remarkable once you learn how to do it, what you can feel and what you can see.
What you perceive just by, I always compared it to whenever I would take my kids out hunting, they'd be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, okay, we're going out, get out of the car, out of the truck, load up the weapons, walk out. And I said, okay, sit and don't move for 15 minutes.
Yeah, good luck on that.
Well, it happens though. If you can get them to calm down and just observe and begin to feel what's going on around you, when you walk into the woods, you are an intruder.
That's great.
If you can stay quiet for 15 minutes, it starts to come back.
Yeah.
You have become part of it by not moving and not being anything that's intrusive. And it's almost it starts to come back to you. Everything starts to go on around you. Life as it was before you entered that environment starts to come back. Nature starts to take over. And if you take the time to just feel and see and hear what's going on around you, you'll notice little things happening in the woods.
Okay, John, what you said feel. Now, most of us think about feeling with our fingers.
No. It's your body. It's your body and your mind all of a sudden becoming, I call it one with nature, where you start to perceive things that you can't intellectually pinpoint, but it's a feeling within you.
Going back to your sixth sense.
Yes. And I know when something's coming in the woods towards me without ever seeing or hearing it. And I can't define it, but you suddenly develop a sense that something is coming. And that's when you know you're part of nature.
Well stated. Good solid information. I want to change gears and go to downtown St. George, Utah with our marketing strategist, Doug Stricker. And I'm sure he's hanging out at Dairy Queen this morning. Douglas, how are you doing?
I'm doing good this morning, Don. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, life is good.
I'm not a Dairy Queen, as a matter of fact.
What time is Dairy Queen open? I know you know that.
11.
I have no clue. As a matter of fact, I think if you recall the Dairy Queen that we did go to in St. George, they have closed that store due to some kind of structural issues with that mesa that's sitting right behind it.
Doug, I have to tell you, I was totally depressed when we pulled in there and the sign's gone and there's no Dairy Queen.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it even exists anymore. At any rate, howdy, JK.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, listen, I want to go over a couple things. You guys have been working really hard on the new website. It is launched. Give us a little rundown where we are on the new website and what we expect to see in the next couple of weeks as it evolves.
Well, you betcha. And, yeah, exciting is the word. And for your listeners, going to ShakeRattleAndTroll.com now has a totally different look and feel, and we invite all our listeners to at least go out and take a look at it. Yes, it's in the, call it, work in progress stage. It's up, it's running, we're being indexed. Got a lot of good articles out there right now. And somewhere down the road here in the next 3 weeks or so, that's just going to build on top of each other. More fishing and hunting articles. And as most of your listeners already know, your thumb is on the conservation side, and with that comes the political agenda. So for our sportsmen around the country, this is not just an Arizona thing anymore, that we're going to post those kind of issues and concerns for hunters and fishermen. The outdoor world has taken a big hit, and it has under the prior administration. So good things coming down the road, and just keep coming back to the website so that you can keep updated as to what's happening. We're going to do a lot with this thing.
Well, we've got an awful lot of good stuff coming with the Trump administration. Yesterday I was notified that it looks like Ryan Zinke, representative from Montana, will be sworn in as Secretary of DOI, and shortly thereafter he will appoint the new head of BLM and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
You bet.
We're looking forward to that, and from all indications, one of the reasons J.K. and I have been talking about this, the left's having a meltdown. These guys hunt and fish, and they get it.
Oh, yeah.
So in the winds of change, success is blowing.
Not only that, we're going to see a huge change in the interpretation of laws, because I can sit here and say, gee, Don, I really like to hunt and I don't like to fish. And Don can say, I like to fish and I don't like to hunt. Well, what's gone on is that the environmentalists have absolutely packed the court with the people who their perception of what wildlife and outdoors should be for the last 8 years. And what's happened is that they have become embedded into the system. And granted, we're going to remove a whole bunch of federal judges whose interpretation is not nearly what we think it should be. So we're going to have a mindset that's different coming in now. But also we need to root out a whole lot of agency personnel who are environmentalists working in Fish and Wildlife Department in the Interior.
Well, that's
and
one of the,
all of those
that's
things.
one of the big flaps with, even in and amongst the AZSFWC comments being made about Scott Pruitt. Scott Pruitt, Attorney General from Oklahoma, over his career has hammered EPA for one thing, being on a leftist agenda. He now, if he gets vetted, and I'm sure he'll get the vote, he's in charge of EPA. You think things aren't going to change?
Yeah, and people
this.
are concerned that he's going to abolish or disintegrate the EPA. He's not, but he's going to make sure that the interpretation of what's valid and what's right use of the land is there. Quite frankly, the environmentalists want us to do nothing with any of the natural resources that we have on our landscape within the continental United States, and they want it to all come from other places. You cannot, we have land that is usable, and proper use, I agree with. When you have destruction of the asset and then you leave tailings or anything else that scars the landscape and makes it uninhabitable, that's a problem. So there's a balance, and quite frankly, we've been so far left, there's going to be a swing to the right, and it should be.
Doug, you went to a town hall meeting with Utah Congressional Representative Chris Stewart. How'd that work out for you?
Well, I got to tell you, there was about 125 people at this little gathering, and it was a live stream from D.C., Congressman Stewart's office, to address the issues with the Obamacare plan and what's going on with it. We all know that Trump is attempting or trying to repeal that and replace it with something else. And he was amazing. I really like this guy. But at one point when Stewart agreed to take questions from the group that was there, it erupted.
Really?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I had no idea how many Democrats were actually sitting there until the floor opened for questions. But it was a situation where I thought they were just rude.
Well, that's, and you know what? Republicans have debated, and I haven't seen any of those type of town hall meetings where rudeness was prevalent. But now that the Republicans have come into control, we're seeing a lot more of a reactionary-based attitude.
Doug and I were talking about that yesterday. Back in the 60s, early 70s, when the protesting and demonstrations were prevalent, you had to have a permit. If you got out of line, they didn't arrest one or two people. They arrested everybody. And my question to you, Doug and John and Jerry, what the hell is happening with these protesters?
Yeah,
they're starting destruction of property, and Berkeley the other day we saw that for 2 or 3 days. Nobody was getting arrested. What the hell's going on?
You have to look at the population counts, and quite frankly, it's a 50-50 country now. Half the people don't believe anything we do, and we don't believe half of what they do.
Yeah, but
my yesterday was, the Republicans in this country, the conservatives. Let me rephrase that. The conservatives in this country are the type of people who will take it until they can't take it anymore, and that's when things are going to erupt.
How close are we?
Oh, my God. I don't know how close we are, to be honest with you, but this is out of control. And frankly, kudos to and I don't remember the gentleman's name of the GOP group that was there, finally stood up and said, you either knock it off or we're calling quits to this thing. and they finally settled down. I had words with one woman in that place. I thought, oh, my goodness, could you be any more disrespectful? You know, I mean, this is what we saw at Berkeley, and this is what we're seeing across the country. These people don't know what they're talking about, and they don't even know why they're there.
They're getting paid to do it.
Oh, no question about that.
Yeah, there was Phoenix is talking about going to a vote to become a sanctuary city, and I don't quite get that, but more power to them. They're just going to be another.
Do you know what the definition is of a sanctuary city?
Stupidity.
No, but what it is, and this is fascinating, that local police and sheriff's departments will not participate in enforcing federal laws, which I find fascinating. And what they're saying specifically geared towards immigration.
Yep.
But for the most part, it's a predominant attitude of protectionism and for people who have avoided the process. And when you do that, you set up, that's I call it the tipping point. Where does societal law come into existence then? If this is okay, then what's next?
Well, we're seeing some huge changes down here, Doug. Sheriff Arpaio finally got voted out. Rumor has it there was an awful lot of Soros money put behind the current Sheriff Pinzone, and they got the Hispanics to vote basically Sheriff Joe out. I mean, they hated him. He was holding them accountable, and I don't think the new sheriff in town is going to be anywhere close to Arpaio's agenda.
Well, I really think, Don, most Americans, including Democrats, don't have any clue how influential George Soros has been in our country.
Well, he's nothing but a Hungarian terrorist.
Hey, watch it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I wouldn't categorically call him a gypsy, but I'll call him a terrorist.
He is a terrorist. He really is. Oh, my goodness. But we're going to do some postings on those kind of issues under our political section down the road. So because our website now is going to be national within 2 to 3 months. National. So if you're interested in what's going on in politics and on the outdoor side, boy, you got to tap into us.
Well, we've got a lot of good stuff up there. The man who speaks to elk himself has written a wonderful article on elk. Jerry's working on some stuff. We've got an awful lot of contributors and friends of SRT that are doing a great job. It's just awesome.
Oh, yeah. And these are the experts, the guys who've been out there and been fishing for years, decades, and hunting for decades that know the outdoors. Let's listen to them.
Well, one final question for you. You're going to have Super Bowl on, or you're doing a boycott?
I am boycotting.
Thank you.
Now, you know I am a huge football fan, NFL. I love watching that sport, but I will not watch today's Super Bowl.
Why?
Come on, JK.
It's a political agenda. And
they didn't do anything with Colin Kaepernick, and they did. You know, if you'd have done what Tom Brady did, they'd have locked you up.
It isn't that. It's supported by Hollywood. You've got a halftime show where it's plain Madonna is going to make a political statement.
No, it's Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. That's
same difference.
Whatever. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to make a statement, and the NFL, that's my problem. The NFL is supporting it.
I've heard that some of the commercials are going to be highly political.
Yes.
That's going to be fascinating to see how that is responded to.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, shame on them. They don't need my television on. So
again, that comes out of the left-wing media and Hollywood.
All righty. Well, good information to have. We're going to get back into the depths, let's say, of Jerry Tate's commentary here.
Do some fishing, buddy.
All righty.
Take care, Doug.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right, Tater, back to you. Let's talk a little bit more about depth. When we left it, we were talking about not having a graph or using a flasher, that kind of thing. Let's pick it up right there.
Okay. Well, Don, usually you can if you don't know the depth, you can read the contours of the land, and it usually gives you pretty close. But you can also take a 1 ounce weight and drop it to the bottom, and that'll give you pretty much how deep it is. You can count it down.
Yeah.
JK on a rope.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But there are many different ways to judge your depth. When you get into taking photos like I have and all of this depth range, once you start using your electronics, and today's electronics are fabulous. Mine are over 10 years old. They still do the same job that the new ones do, only they don't draw a tree as pretty as this.
Sure.
And they don't draw a boat down there, but if you look closely and you go over a boat, sunken boat, which I have found 2 boats on the lake, submerged, that it will show the contour of that boat, and then you know exactly where that boat is. But looking at nature and trying to read nature, because now the lake, the trees are disintegrating. Was under the water. Like Humbug used to be so full of trees you couldn't even drag a Texas rig worm through them.
Yeah.
Well, now you can drag a Carolina rig through them if you're careful, So you get out there with your just fishing, say a guy in an aluminum boat. He can go out there and he can hit these spots and he can judge the depth. All he has to do is when the water's down, say he's caught some fish in an area, and it's a small area, he can go back and he can photo that after it's out of water and just look what he's done.
What's the best time for low point of the lake?
That would be in the July.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they use all the water for irrigation.
Right, yeah.
Go check it, see what you got. It's before the monsoons hit, before all the water starts draining back into the lake.
And take a couple of photos, and you can't just take a photo of the tree or the rock. You got to get the shoreline.
Right.
You have to have a
Got to have a landmark.
Well, contour and landmark, yeah.
Right.
You see, I always knew that if you took a look at I grew up in the Michigan lakes, and you always knew where the weed line stopped, right at the edges, and you knew bass would hang close to that, as would northern pike. Those are the 2 species that I used to fish for all the time. You get to know where that is, and then you'd know where for whatever reason, there was a lot more structure. You would have drop-offs or points, and you knew that they would hover right around those points. You have similar structure here in Arizona. It's just not as sharply defined as it is in the Midwest, right?
That is correct. It is. Yeah, and our weeds are more like cuckleburs and Bermuda grass and those kind of that's growing as the water drops, because all those seeds come in as this rainfall comes in. That's high nutrient. It's a lot of nutrient coming in. That's where the shad and the small fish
it's
grow.
Protection and food.
Yeah, it's protection and food. And so you got everything is there in that one little area. They don't have, Don and I was talking before, fish had to travel quite a ways. Now, as the water dropped, they just pull back in a little deeper water and hold. They don't have to leave that entire cove.
Right.
They don't have to come from the dam and come clear up to chasing shad, clear up into the pipeline area or whatever. And again, that's about 1.5 miles away from the dam, and I've followed them like that. 3 of us have. When you follow fish, and this is getting back into some of it, you find them, you use surface baits, and you pick up 3 fish. 3 fish is we call a school that we know is traveling. And we have followed them from the dam to Jackass Cove, Bathroom Point, and across to Burrow Island, all the way into Pipeline. And they stayed in Pipeline for the entire rest of the year until the water level changed.
Yeah, let me ask you this. One of the things that's happening with this vertical fluctuation, as John's pointed out, these fish have a tendency to get scrambled. The water is coming up.
You mean?
Coming up a foot a day or dropping a foot a day, and they're trying to acclimate and or reacclimate. We're about to get into the pre-spawn, spawn post-spawn. What are you thinking on depths for pre-spawn fish?
Right now?
Yeah.
The
let's say we've got basically another month, 3 or 4 weeks, and we're going to be there.
Well, see, our water temperature is already coming up. It's been the 50s, and now it's starting to climb back out. So, therefore, every fish you catch, largemouth that is a female, she is full of eggs right now. And as soon as that water temperature gets up higher 50s, they're going to be bad.
That 54, 55 degree thing kind of triggers the need to breed.
That's correct. And then, plus, a lot of people don't understand that all the fish don't spawn at one time. And
Thank you.
Largemouth bass can spawn more than one a year. So, therefore, you have different spawns throughout the year. But the one in April and May is going to be your major one.
That's the big one.
Yeah. That's your big spawn right there. But there's spawns before it. There's spawns after it. Clear up. It was October, something like the middle of October. I can't remember the exact date that I've got written down. But at the South Ramp at the marina, we had 2 fish on beds.
Nice. In October.
In October.
Yep.
So
Wow. Point in case.
Yeah. So, when we was doing the big bass days and stuff like that, people would come in the show and they'd so many people don't realize what they do in their life, their work, their hobbies, creates different odors in our body. We are picking up those toxic chemicals.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to cover up those chemicals in your. If you're an auto mechanic and you're working on anything that has transmission or gear grease, like in our lower units in our boat, that'll just push fish away. So you need to cover up those scents, especially when you're dealing with this. It's
well, you look at the average guy, from start to finish. You've got breakfast, you got coffee. Some guys smoke, so you got coffee, bacon, eggs, cigarettes, fuel. You stop at the lake, fuel your boat. You got gas on your hands. You're running a diesel truck. You get the diesel, and that's one of the first thing is sanitize your hands, and quite frankly, squirt them with WD-40.
It works real well.
Why does WD-40 work?
It's just a wonderful, magical substance.
Why does it work?
Some odors will throw them off. This one does not.
Right, it does not. For some reason. In fact, you can spray it on your bait, and it works real well. We've used it for years.
Shh, come on, Tater.
But yeah, so
something else that works is Pam, P-A-M.
She's really cute, though.
yeah. Try to get her to hold still a rubber bait on her. That's a whole nother thing. But stuff that comes out of the pantry, I got to clean this up. You spray it on your skillets and your frying pans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Pam.
Mm-hmm.
Pam in the bass boat.
Yeah.
Woo! Mm-hmm. All righty. That said, we're going to quit it before we all get in hot water. And this time when we come back, hopefully we'll have somebody over on the left coast. I'm Don McDowell.
Special K.
Jerry Tate.
Yes, sir. All righty, we're back. Yeah, it's going to be raining in downtown San Diego on Monday. How about that, Captain Bill?
It's kind of cloudy and overcast. It looks like it's going to rain today.
Ooh.
But that's okay. Good morning, guys.
Hey, what's happening?
Morning, Captain Laidback.
Hey.
How's the knees?
They're sore. But, they are. It is what it is. They are what they are. All the same thing.
Yeah, way to go, Popeye.
Oh, yeah.
Matey. Hey, so what's been going on?
Well, let's see. Nothing. No, we're just waiting for you. This is the highlight of the whole program right here.
You know what? The ocean was kind of. I'm not going to say it was an angry ocean, but it was. She was still kind of pissed off. That's the best way to explain that.
Nice.
You don't like a nasty ocean.
It wasn't bad, but it was bad enough to affect fishing. So it was an angry ocean. You know what I mean?
A little bit on the bumpy side.
Well, the swell, we discussed yesterday. The swell was 13 to 15 seconds apart, but it was like 8 foot.
Yikes.
You know, so it's like big. You know, you're going along. As long as you're not sitting in a trough, you're okay. You go up the swell, come down the other side, and kind of like a swing, if you will. Once you got in the trough, coming down the backside of that swell is kind of tough.
We have a term in the SRT dictionary for conditions like that. It's called choke and puke.
I can do both of those real well.
We had 14 passengers yesterday. We had a few people throwing up.
Yep. Yeah, boy.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, in that sense, fishing overall for the day, I think we did like Captain Mike Zayak told me he did 11 anchor drops and 10 drifts, and up until 3 o'clock they had 5 fish on the boat.
Oh.
At 3 o'clock, he finally found some that wanted to bite. You know, it was pretty decent after that.
Did they happen to target any yellowtail, or did they see them, or what?
Did not see a single yellowtail yesterday. The water turned over very green, like puke green, if you will, off color. Water temperature was like 58 degrees.
Wow.
And that was pretty consistent everywhere we went. And it's just caused by an upwelling. You know, big surge down below pushes that cold water up to the surface. It happens every now and then. It's going to take a couple of days for it to straighten out.
Sure.
Out to sea current, you know, like 15 knots. Wind coming out of the west. Yeah, typical of a very, very, you know, upwelling, if you will.
Well, it's you know, the water's going to be warm. How long is it going to take, in your opinion, before it warms up to the 63 to 65 range?
Oh, I don't know.
You're supposed to know that.
I'm
Look,
not
you're
sure.
the captain. Come on.
And typically this time of the year, the water, and I'm surprised it was this cold. It was that cold yesterday. Typically, the water this time of year is about 57 to 58 degrees till about the second week of March. It starts to warm up. You get back into 59, 60, 61s. About the second week of June, it goes from 61 to about 64. July, August, September, around the island, 67 to 74 degree water. Then right around the first week of November, it gets back down to about 60, and December, January, February, back into the 58.
Yeah.
That's been traditional. This past few years, the water, hasn't gotten below 61 degrees anywhere you went.
Oh, really?
Where we fish anyways. You go up north, it's obviously different because it's colder up there. But I mean, it's been typical. That's a typical year. That time frame and things like that. That's why you get the difference in species. Because the warm water species or warm water pelagic species, yellowtail, yellowfin tuna, bluefin tuna, dorado, skipjack, and things like that. You see them traditionally right around the last week of July through the first week of October, because the water is at its warmest.
Well, Captain, while you've got your crystal ball out, what's the current situation going to be this year? Are we going to stay in a La Nina attitude, or perhaps roll back over to the El Nino?
With all the water, with all the rain that California has gotten, specifically Southern California has gotten this past start of this year, I'm going to say it's going to be a regular type year for us. I mean, as far as fishing goes, and I'm kind of looking forward to getting back into the traditional 3/4 day style fishing. We leave the dock at 5:30 in the morning. We go. And January through the first week of March, we're focusing on rockfish, and that's because there's really nothing else to catch, because the water is traditionally this time of the year 57 to 60 degrees. Then you figure the first week of March we'll start looking for the yellowtail, and I'm not going to say it's not impossible. It's spotty, hit and miss. You'll go out one day, you'll catch 150, you go out the next day, you'll catch 2. It's just because the temperature change in the water so much and so fast. And most of the yellowtail we catch around that time of the year are what we call home guards, or mossbacks, or forkies, or stuff like that. They give them weird nicknames. And then you look at into the second week of June, July, we start fishing the beach for, schools of yellowtail, breezing around the surface, looking for sand bass, looking for barracudas. And to me, that's three-quarter day fishing. This running offshore and chasing yellowfin tuna and stuff like that typically happens with us the first week of August through about the first or second week of September, and the fish move out of our zone, so we can't chase them anymore. And we go back to doing what we were doing before, chasing the yellowtails at the islands and things like that.
Well, moving into the, let's say March, late March, JK's been pretty insistent on getting a kayak. Is there an opportunity to put a tow rope on the Malahini and just drag him out to the fishing grounds so he can actually enjoy his Tupperware boat? No.
I'd be called shark bait.
No, we call it trolling.
You know what? We can probably put something like that together. If KJ got a group of people that wanted to go kayak fishing around the Coronado Islands,
nice.
There's places that them kayaks can get into, man. I know you'd probably kill some whomper bass, some whomper calico bass and stuff like that. Some big, nice sheephead. When the current is going parallel to the island, we get within I want to say 18 feet of water and drift parallel with the island. Oh, nice sheephead. We're talking 8, 9, 10-pound sheepheads, whitefish that you've never seen so big. Oh my gosh, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Captain stays up in the wheelhouse to make sure he's bumping us off the island as we're cruising along. But it's very, very fun. It can be very exciting as well.
Well, let me get this straight. Or what you're suggesting is putting KJ's kayak on the Malahini and dumping him off at the island and picking him up when we go home?
Oh, yeah. Get like 12 guys that want to do it, charter the boat $3,000. We go up there, we park the boat, anchor the boat up off the island there, put the kayaks in the water. Obviously, you'd be fishing the lee side.
Yeah.
And just slide up with your light tackle rods, paddle up into the island, fish the rocks and stuff coming along next day.
Woohoo! Man, what a day.
That'd be fun fishing.
Special K, you're going to be liking this.
I'm thinking.
Now, how long is that kayak?
8 feet.
8 feet.
Call it cork.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, there's some, 8, 12, 14 footers out there. So.
Well, that's 20 kayaks you can put on my boat easy.
Nice. There you go. I mean, there's a fundraiser for the ADA and the AZSFWC right there.
Oh my.
So while you guys are kayak fishing, catching bass, we'll be sitting out in 20 fathoms killing yellowtails.
Nice.
Something wrong with that picture?
Yeah.
I'm not liking that now.
All right.
You can catch yellowtail. You can catch yellowtail up there around the rocks too, just to drag you around the boat a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I'm expecting that.
It'd be fun, dude.
Yeah, that guy that won the Yellowtail Derby last year with that 40-pounder went 3.5 miles.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In a kayak.
They are no joke. They'll take you for a ride, most definitely.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, that'll take you to a new holy crap dimension.
That'd be it. See me sailing into the west.
Yes, picture, if you will, a man on a journey. Yeah.
Hey guys, we changed the listing of the landing page as well from rock cod adventures to fishing the Coronado Islands, because with what he's seen the past few trips we've been out, he wanted to start focusing a little more on trying to capture yellowtail. I'm like, okay, well that's fine.
All right,
but, guys, you can come on down, get on the boat, call the landing at 619-222-1144. Or you can book online, Malahini Sport Fishing website or the Malahini Sport Fishing webpage or Facebook page. There's a book now tab on the top there.
All right, well stated. God bless you and enjoy your nap during Super Bowl.
Be good.
Love you guys. Guys, have a great day.
Oh, I'm on the drinking man's diet. It came from a book I was loaned. It's really terrific and quite scientific, and I'm half stoned. For breakfast, some cornflakes and vodka. But cornflakes have carbohydrates, so I don't eat those fattening cornflakes. I eat the vodka straight.
Nice.
Drink.
Yeah, you gotta love the Irish. Thank God the left isn't picking on them.
For vodka, you're talking more of the Russian and the gypsy generation.
Yeah, Putin.
I'll tell you what, great vodka comes out of Russia, and their stuff, I'll drink that any day. Compared to American vodka, it's unbelievable.
And the difference would be?
Taste, smoothness.
Headaches?
No, you don't get headaches.
Really?
Well, depends on how much you consume.
That's
moderation in all things.
Therein lies the issue.
Yeah, once you start.
All right, pretty good stuff. I want to key back in on one more time on ADA. That's coming up.
February the 25th. It's our banquet night. Rustler's Roost. Great food.
Steak, beans, salad, corn on the cob.
And chicken. Yeah. You get a slab of steak, you get some chicken, and all the rest that goes with it. And it's freshly cooked right there in front of you.
Nice.
Assembly line, you get it in, you get it down, you get it out.
Bingo.
End of story.
Okay.
By the way, talking about food, everybody has gone through the holidays. And one of the things that I did once, just as a mental challenge to myself, was anytime you go into any of the supermarkets, pick up a 10-pound turkey. Okay? 10-pound turkey, and just hold it. And then start walking around the store holding it. That's typically what people put on during the holidays, is that 10 pounds. And when you carry a 10-pound turkey around in your hands, it's heavy. It gets heavier by the second. That's what you're putting, and for older guys, that's what you're putting on your knees, your hips, and your back.
And your heart. And your blood pressure.
Yep. So now is the time. Everybody's putting in for their elk and antelope tags, and we have till the 14th to finish doing that. But if you think you have an opportunity to hunt, start the training now. You've got 8 months to lose what you put on in roughly 2 months. And if you just think about that in terms of 1 pound a month and start exercising, and we're flatlanders here. You go up to 8,000, 7,000 feet.
That's another ball game.
It's another ball game in terms of oxygen levels, and it's also, you can walk all day long that you want to on the sidewalks all around here. You walk in the mountains, there is nothing that's flat up there. And that's what you have to become accustomed to. I know that my knees kill me when I'm up there, but if the more you do it and the more opportunities you have to get up there and start walking around prior to scouting, prior to the hunts, prior to all that, if you know you're drawn at the end of March, get your butt up there regularly to work out. You'll find that. And the other thing is, and this is funny, everybody who I've ever taken up the first time, they jump in the vehicle and we get out of here, and you're at 1,100 feet elevation here. You get up to 7,000. That first 50 yards,
oh yeah,
your lungs have to become acclimated to it. People need to learn that. But losing the turkey that we've put on, that 10-pound turkey around your middle, is critical to having any success. And I'm going to point out to your son, Donnie. Donnie and I were helping Mason last year, and we went on the south edge of that canyon where we decided that's where we were going to start. We dropped down into the bottom, and we started up the other side, and we were chasing elk the whole time. Donnie put what I call that critical factor of time in to make sure that Mason got into those elk. I was calling, and they were responding. And we had climbed almost halfway up out of there, and they took a right-hand turn. He kept going. Most guys would have quit, but he kept going. He had the perseverance to do it, and Mason, I think, would have walked to hell to get that elk.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to climb out to get a vehicle because where they were going, I knew where they were winding up, and somebody had to come down because he wasn't going to come back up with an elk. He had to come down. But that's the kind of shape you have to be in. And Donnie was exhausted when he was done doing that. I was exhausted done doing that. And then I had to drive around and try and find where he was coming out of the mountains and climb back up to get that elk to get it out of there. But if you're not in that kind of shape, you're going to quit earlier. And when you quit earlier, your opportunity odds go way down.
That's a good segment right there. One of the things we're going to be starting again next week, Jerry was a part of this, Anglers Health and Fitness.
It's critical.
Yeah, we're bringing in a couple folks, one on nutrition, energy, diet, to a certain extent. Some credence to be said about the chiropractic community.
Oh,
we're going to be talking about that.
No question.
Staying centered. Kind of where we went today was the spiritual side of it, because there is a triad, and you have some really, really valid points, on getting back to being one with nature.
You have to feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about the exercise here in town. I found, for me, I have a bicycle that's a racing bicycle, but if you put it in speed 14 and you go into the park over there where we've got the up and down grades and stuff like that, and don't put it in low gears, you ride that for about 6-7 miles.
You know it.
You know it.
Your
And
legs
so,
are feeling it.
Yeah, your legs, your hips, and everything is feeling it. So there are ways that we can get ourselves physically, but when it comes to the oxygen content, when we get into higher elevations, we can't do that here. That has to be done up there.
No. And I find, I happen to live real close to Freestone Park, and they have one steep hill that's 103 steps to the top. And I've paced it off because I've done it thousands of times. And I'll start doing that with a backpack on, carrying my full load. And yeah, it's a little hard on the knees, but it gets you accustomed to doing it. And in the summer, I can start doing that at 4:45 in the morning, and that's prime time before it gets
Jerry
too
has
hot.
a homeopathic cure for your knees that happens to work.
That I do. It's amazing. You still using it?
Absolutely, I am.
I need to hear this.
Oh, you'll love it. Okay. You take raisins, just like raisins in your cabinet.
Okay.
And you put them in a dish that you can put a lid on.
A mayonnaise jar.
Oh, he's got a mayonnaise jar. So he's
hermetically sealed.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can seal it. You pull it, pour gin.
Gin?
Gin.
G-I-N, gin?
Yeah,
Gin.
like you drink.
Uh-huh.
Till it submerges.
Gilby's works.
All of those raisins. Take 7 of them every evening before you go to bed, and you tell me what happens with you in 2 weeks.
I'll be an alcoholic.
Yeah, don't drink the gin.
No, but okay. It's
now
just
I let before I start having my raisins, I let them ferment. Let's say for a week.
A week.
Well, yeah, you can
about
let them.
5 days.
Yeah, it's best to do.
That's
it.
called saturated.
Right.
Drunken raisins.
I had a guy go into surgery real quick. I don't know how much time we got, but had a guy go into surgery in 2 weeks. He started it right away, and he went to the doctor. They said, "What are you doing? You don't need surgery now."
Really?
Yeah.
He's a hockey player, and I talked to him this week. Says, "I'm doing great. I'm going to the hockey every day," and he said, "I'm playing again." He says, "I'm playing hockey again without surgery."
My son needs to do that because he's got a torn MCL.
I'm real serious, and I'll back up what he said. And Jerry knows this. I was getting ready to have arthroscopic again on my left knee. That's a result of hyperextending joints, teaching martial arts for 15 plus years. And he told me about that. And we had bass days, and you run, you've been there.
Yeah, it's a zoo.
15 miles a day nonstop. I started eating the raisins, canceled the surgery.
It's from Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz.
Dr. Tater, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out and buy, after 11 o'clock this morning,
Yeah.
a bottle of gin and raisins,
Right.
and 7 of them a night before you go to bed.
Right. That's all.
I'll
It's
be
simple.
I'll be your test
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm game.
Yeah.
Anything
it's
that'll help my
it's
knee feel
remarkable.
better?
It's Dr. Oz, it's in his books and his research that he come up with this. It was a lot of Oriental cure.
Yes.
And what happens is the gin breaks down the raisin, and the nutrients that's in that raisin helps cartilage rebuild.
Well, I know I've got bald spots on both knees.
Yeah, not bald spot.
There's no cartilage. I've got,
Yeah.
you look at a knee, specifically the ball joints on the knee, and they looked at mine and they go, take a look at this. And it's smooth. And you go, see how smooth
That's
that
a
is?
Hispanic thing. That's called no mas meniscus.
Yeah, no mas meniscus. Yeah, and that's what I'm missing was basically they've cut away the torn meniscus that I have, but he said, you don't have any cartilage. It's bone on bone, which is why I can't stand at like a show. I can't stand for periods of time. If I'm moving, I'm fine. But if I have to stand where it's bone on bone, within 1 hour, it starts to ache.
You will be a good experiment.
All right.
All righty. That pretty much sums it up for today. Check out the website. You can sign up for the SRT newsletter. While you're signing up for newsletters, the AZBW newsletter, WOT, Western Outdoor Times is a good one to look at weekly and periodically. The new website is Shake, Rattle, and AndDtroll.com. So
spell it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
AndDtroll.com. Yeah. And I want to thank you for coming down. We're going to have some of Jerry's bits of wisdom and advice on, what is it? Depth,
speed, size, action, and color.
There you go.
Not that he knows that by heart.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah.
We'll have that up in the fishing section for you, and you can come there and get educated. So, all righty. Do America a favor. Boycott the Super Bowl. I'm Don McDowell.
I'm Gin Johnny.
Jerry Tate.
Take your kids fishing, hug your basketball, man. We're out here. Thanks for listening.